Alright, just took a fat sweaty shit. You probably can't see it because I just dried up. But then after that, I did Bulgarian split squats. What a weird way to start 11:20 p.m. at night. So, surviving the game as a barbarian. Already one of the best manhwas I have ever read. It's easily up there. That and Release That Witch are like gold. Way better than solo leveling. Go ahead and fight me, you some Team Wong nerds. Anyways, already badass manhwa. I don't even know where to start. So, yeah, spoiler warning. So our guy basically he's playing a game, right? He gets into that game world. Most people don't like that genre. I don't really like that genre that much either. Except, all right, our guy has a lot of knowledge about the game, but that's it. He's not overpowered. He's not strong. There's no blessings. And on top of that, he's transported to the game 150 years into the future of what he's been playing on. So there's kind of an advancement. Now he is sent to that game as a barbarian. Barbarians, think about Clash of Clans barbarians or whatever. They're pretty stupid, dumb. People don't really look at them like that. And that's how it's portrayed as at the very beginning, except our protagonist is the one that's more smart as a barbarian. I guess a level of sentience. The rest of the barbarians are a bunch of dumbasses. However, he does get reincarnated with a player, and that's one thing I wanted to get into. It's not just a bunch of player on player interactions. No, 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 no. He doesn't want to get in contact with players, one, because players are seen as evil spirits in this world because of their knowledge, so they're usually just killed on sight. Players aren't overpowered in this game. They are just given to random bodies. None of them are like insanely strong. The only thing they have is knowledge. But our guy is the only one who actually beat the game properly, thoroughly. So he has the best knowledge when it comes to that. But with that said, he still needs a party. Because the game he got reincarnated into, you can't do it solo. I know some people don't like that, like, I want to see our guy go solo, but no, no, no. The way they incorporate teamwork, chemistry, and they actually give story backgrounds to the characters is badass. So off rip, our guy is into a cave, right? He has one of the worst lucks ever. Bro basically uses the indomitable human spirit to make his way through. He gets helped by some other team. Basically look down on him because he's a barbarian, right? But our guy's not stupid. Now the reason why they look down on barbarians is one, because they're dumb, and two, their hearts suffer a lot because they're bigger and they're more muscular. Anyways, skipping forward, he goes back into the dungeon, blah, blah, blah. He has to help this one elf chick. Now, the elf chick might give you a... You might think that it's going to be like this going forward. The characters are going to be this easy to get a read on, and it's kind of not that fun. The only interesting person is going to be our main character. For the most part, that's usually how it is. But later on, it gets rid of that whole cliche. She's pretty cliche at first. In the game, elves are supposed to be real monotone, real like stoic, cold face. She's not. She's more like trying to keep to herself, but then he helps her out, blah, blah, blah. They open up. You could tell she's going to be lovey-dovey in the future. Yeah, whatever. But then he has to, like, even before that, right? He has to deal with a marauder. And that's what I like about this. Our guy's not like Izuku Midoriya getting his first kill, like, oh no, he's so scared in a monologue. He's getting emotional about it. No. Our guy understands that there's no reason to get emotional about it because it was kill or be killed. You know what I mean? So our guy just did it. And it's not that he doesn't think about it. He still thinks about it even way back like, into the future, which is what I like. We have reflection. That's another thing I'm going to get into. Our guy pretty much just kills, and he's like, well, I didn't like that I had to do that, but that's just how it is. Anyway, skipping forward, he goes back into the dungeon, right? This time he's got like a whole new team and all that. The new team, man. So you have a cat girl who you would probably get the sense of she's pretty gullible and stupid. You have this dwarf who seems really chill, really affable, but he's a drunkard. Also, the dwarves are obviously short and all that. You get this one mage guy, you can tell he's weak, but he's pretty smart at least. And then you get this one stoic guiding scout guy. Pretty nice, pretty chill, and the guy's like very serious. So they all go to the dungeon together, and okay, so this is another thing that I like. Even before was it, yeah, even before he met that party, he went with another barbarian. So at first he went with one elf chick before he was solo. First he was solo. You see how he handles things. He's very stoic, pragmatic, logical. Then he's with somebody else, so he has to incorporate that and take care of them at the same time. But they take care of each other, all that. And then he goes with another barbarian. So first with the elf chick, he's more or less having to find a way to accommodate for her needs, but also find a way to talk with them. So she's more intellectual, right? So you can tell that off their first interaction. But then he goes with another barbarian. It's a chick. Like I said, all barbarians are basically retards. So it's nice to see a different interaction. He doesn't really remain the same. He's kind of adapting to the person he's with. So if he's with an intellectual, he's going to be more intellectual. He's going to be more reasoning. They're going to try to determine things. When he's with somebody who's pretty straightforward and a retard, He's a barbarian too, so he just turns his brain off and they start doing random shit, which is exactly what I like. Exactly what I like. One, you have actually intellectual dialogue. The second one, you just have, heh big monster there, go bonk. What's not to like? They also have an encounter where they encounter another party in a dungeon and all that, and he's having to like be attentive with one person who's pretty straightforward and bonking behavior. The other one's actually smart. So you get to see a, how do I say this? You get to see conflicts of different personalities and how our guy handles it, which he basically just does whatever the hell he wants, which I like. I definitely like. The NPCs also don't feel like NPCs. And it's not like the dialogue's predetermined. Like I said, it's 150 years into the future. He's never met anybody he's playing against or playing with. The only people that he knows are the NPCs in the dungeons, but they don't even talk like normal people. They're just there. They're being evil. That's what another one I like. The dungeons, the bosses are just evil. It's just on-site violence. That's what I like. It's pure mayhem. We get to see our boy, who's a barbarian, actually act like a barbarian. He's not just a businessman in a barbarian suit. No, our guy's a businessman, but that's another thing that I like. Since you get reincarnated into a barbarian's body, he does have that barbarian's like life memories as well as personality traits. So at times our guy does give into the barbarian instincts, which I do like because he'll notice it himself and he'll know when to like stop or when not to. He plays into his character well. They also do have nobility in this, and basically barbarians are the only ones that are able to talk however they want around nobility because they're just big retards. You know what I mean? They have an excuse. So he plays into that a lot. They'll be like saying, "You don't disrespect me like that," and he'll just pick its nose and spit and say, "Shut up." Badass character. Yeah, so like I said, you get a bunch of conflicts of characteristics, and you get to see how our guy handles it. And now that plays into the party he formed with the cat girl and the dwarf and all that. Because at first they seem pretty easy to like understand and all that, but later on into the story, you start to see more of a side. All right, I'm back. There was a huge ass flying roach inside of my living room. Big fucker, by the way, like the size of this remote. Oh, not this big, but like probably like this big, size of your middle finger. Huge roach. Anyways, what I was saying was later on, they start getting into proper backstories for our character, right? So the cat girl chick, she's not gullible as she seems. She kind of portrays herself as like an easygoing, fun, not serious character. But when she has her serious moments, she has her serious moments, and she reflects upon memory, and you can easily tell like, oh, okay, she's not a dumbass. Our dwarf, he also. Oh, so wait. Even before that, going back to our catgirl story, she also has like her backstory as well, which does play into account and is properly connected to the main story. So that plays into that. Our dwarf's backstory, blatantly, he just likes blacksmithing. You know, typical dwarf stuff. Not much to it. It's straightforward. He just needed the money. That's it. To like, live out his dream, which I like, because not all these characters need to have like complicated backstories. Like our cat girl probably has the most complicated backstory. Our dwarf doesn't. You have the like different motives and all that. Our mage, right? I won't spoil too much and all that. Our mage's backstory also plays a big role because he has nobility. So obviously that's gonna tie in. And then our scout, we don't know much, but our scout's just pretty well experienced. He's old. Not old in that sense, but he's been doing the gig for a long time, dungeon exploring and all that. I just like that they properly explain and flesh out characters. It's not just a simple, oh, my family was this and that. Oh, I had a bad life, but forget about it. No. Like, obviously they care. And the way the author goes about explaining that, as well as their characteristics, so that's another thing too. When you look at the characteristics and then you see the backstories, it's not just a over exaggeration. Like, no, you really begin to see how, oh, that makes sense. I can see why they would become like that. Kind of how you see these hood people and all that. You get what I mean. But it's something like that. And not only that, but character deaths. When a character dies, it's not just like in the anime where they get really mad and they fight the boss and all that, and then they hold the funeral, they get all sad, and then pretty much like 2 chapters or 2 episodes later, they just forgot all about it. Like, no, these guys, they move on, but they don't forget. Like, at times, they will reflect and then remember, oh, we used to do this with our old party. Oh, it kind of reminds me of this guy. And they'll just kind of reflect and be like, damn, that sucks. And they get a little sad at times, thinking about it for a bit, and it kind of dulls the mood for about like 3-4 hours, but then they go back on track, you know what I mean? That's what I like. We have actual, I don't know how to explain it. They make the characters feel human. You know what I mean? And our guy's not crazy emotional. Okay, and that's another thing too. The party members are not crazy emotional. If you're gonna be in the dungeon and you're going at higher levels into the dungeon, you know what I mean? Or well, in this case, lower levels. You gotta be pretty situationally aware, and you can't be emotional. Otherwise, you're just gonna die. So all these party members know how to go from 0 to 100 like quick, and that's exactly what I like. Like all in all, I don't know what else to say about this because it's still ongoing, and I can't really think of things off the top of my head. But it's just badass. Like the character's pragmatic. He's not emotional, and he knows when to play into his character. When he does, it's funny. That's another thing too. This actually incorporates humor at a really well pace. Like really well paced. It's also well paced. It's not rushed. It's not too straight, direct. Like everything's going at a actual perfect speed. And that's exactly what I like. Like they'll explain the things that you want to be explained a little further, and then when it comes to like walking, they'll just skip ahead a little. You know what I mean? Like that's what I like. Or if they're gonna have some funny dialogue while they're walking, they'll go ahead and do that, and then they'll skip ahead. Like it's actual good pacing. He does interact with players later on. However, the interaction with players is usually just an exchange of knowledge, and they basically change all their different avatars. They're like in an in-game server. It's kind of weird, kind of like how Twitter has those voice chats. It's kind of what it is because you could design your avatar, put a name over, and everything. Yeah, it's just an exchange of information, but they find a way to remain anonymous. So our guy is not actually giving himself away. However, based off of reactions, you can kind of guess where one's at or one's where one as a player is inside that world. And yeah, that's really all there really was to say about that. If you are thinking about reading Surviving the Barbarian, I highly recommend it. Way better than solo leveling. And honestly, I can't wait till this gets an anime. And that's really about it. Bye bye.